As I told you, there are many ways you can select an HTML element using the ID, using the class, etc. So we can say const HTML button is equal to document, because we're selecting something from the document, get element by ID, get element by class name, and we can say, in this case, button class. Okay, so I can select it this way, okay? And if I console.log the HTML button, we can see it here. But as you can see, it says document get elements by class name, and we have to be very careful with this, because with class names, as I told you, you can select multiple elements, and this is an array. So if we say HTML button dot style dot color equal to red, it's not going to work. As you can see, it's not working. Okay, this is very, very important, because it is an array of elements. We haven't covered arrays because that's more advanced and it's not something we're going to be covering here, but we should select the element we're going to use. In this case is the first element. Okay, an array is like a list of elements, and we are going to use the first one, which starts at 0. Okay, just something to take notice of. But the way to solve this is to use the query selector. Okay, we can use query selector to select the first element of an array, or query selector all to select all of them. So when you use query selector, as you can see, the element doesn't have query selector by ID or by class name. We have to specify it in the selector right here. So if I only say button, it will select the first button. If I add here an ID and I say button ID, it will select the first button with this ID. If I say button class and change this to a dot, you can see it's selecting this button that we wanted to select with the class, so we don't have this problem of the array. So it's a solution we can use, and it's a great way to select any element we want, knowing that we are selecting with the ID. But at the moment, I'm going to use the get element by ID because I think it's more clear if you are beginning. And also, as I told you, we can add event listeners. And we can even add event listeners to the document itself, which is the page. Okay, the document is what we are loading. This HTML document is the web page. We can add a document.add event listener. In this case, the event listener is going to be called DOMContentLoaded. As I told you, DOM is the document object model. When the document is loaded, we're going to do something. Okay, so I'm going to add a function, open and close parentheses, open and close curly braces. And now if I select here a button, okay, const HTML button is equal to document dot get element by ID, and I say button slash ID, and console.log the HTML button, you can see it's appearing here as expected. But what happens if I move this script from the bottom to the top? It's working. Why is it working if it's at the top? Well, if we move here outside this event listener, it will run immediately. When this code is loaded, it will run. But now sorry for this text. The button doesn't exist because the script is being executed here and the button hasn't loaded. But if we add this inside the document content loaded here, event listener, now it waits until the document is fully loaded to run this code. This is the way to solve the problem I told you, because sometimes when you use page builders, imagine you are someone from marketing and you are preparing a marketing campaign and you're designing a landing page with Elementor, Shopify, whatever, and you want to add a script. Sometimes those scripts you don't know where they are loaded. Sometimes they are loaded in the head, in the middle of the body, at the end. So maybe when you're running that script, it's not working. So this way you can solve this by adding an event listener of the DOM content loaded, so you know your script will always work and all the HTML elements that you want to select will be there, will be loaded. Okay, so this is a good practice to add your code inside the document at the event listener DOM content loaded. And instead of using a function, an anonymous function, you can say function main, or imagine this is say hello, okay, say hello function, and you wrap all your, or get, instead of saying hello, get button function, you wrap your code inside this function, and instead of doing this, you do this. So now it's easier to maintain this code, because here you have all your functionality and you know it's being run here when the document is completely loaded, and you don't have to worry if the script tab is loaded here at the bottom, or it's loaded wherever it is loaded. So this way your code will work 100% of the times.